My fiancée reconnected with her ex behind my back while planning our weddings. I ended everything and took the engagement ring back for good. My fiancée, Lily, 27, and I, 29, had been together for 3 years. She's smart, funny, and has this way of making you feel like you're the only person in the room. I proposed last year, and we started planning a summer wedding. Everything seemed perfect, or at least I thought it was. One day, Lily told me she was going back to her hometown to spend time with her sister. She's really close with her family and hadn't been back in a while, so it didn't seem strange. She packed a bag, kissed me goodbye, and said she'd be back in a couple of weeks. At first, I didn't think much of it. We still texted occasionally, and she called me the first night to say she arrived safely. But the next day, things started feeling off. She called in the afternoon and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something." I replied, "Sure, what's up?" Then she said, "I think I need some time to think." I was trying to make sense of it, so I asked, "Think about what? Is this about the wedding? Are you feeling stressed? Did I do something wrong?" She didn't really answer, just said, "I feel like I need some time for myself." I didn't want to push. So I said, "Okay, if you need space, I get it. Just let me know what's going on." She promised we'd talk soon, but the whole thing felt weird. The conversation ended awkwardly, and I sat there thinking, what just happened? After that, communication nearly stopped. I texted her a few times with normal stuff like, "Hey, how's it going?" or "Hope you're having a good day," but she never replied. I tried calling, but she didn't answer. She even stopped posting on social media, which was strange because she usually shared everything from her morning coffee to random sunset pictures. I reached out to her sister, hoping she might explain what was going on, but her sister just texted back, "Haven't seen her much, sorry," which didn't help at all. It felt like everyone was shutting me out. At this point, I started losing sleep over it. My friends told me she was probably just taking a break, but that didn't sit right with me. This wasn't like her. She'd never gone radio silent, especially not with me. The strangest part was how sudden it all felt. We were literally picking flower arrangements a week before she left. There were no big fights, no warning signs. I kept replaying every conversation, trying to figure out if I missed something, but everything seemed fine till it wasn't. I tried giving her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she really did need time alone. Maybe she was dealing with something she didn't know how to talk about yet. But as days turned into weeks, my patience wore thin. If something was wrong, why couldn't she just tell me? That's when I started doubting everything. Was she really staying with her sister? What if there was someone else? I hated thinking like that, but the silence was driving me crazy. I spent countless nights staring at my phone, hoping for a text or missed call that never came. Each day felt heavier than the last. I tried distracting myself with work and friends, but nothing worked. It was like my whole world was on pause. After a couple of weeks of silence, I decided enough was enough. How much space does someone need? If she wasn't going to tell me what was going on, I was going to find out myself. I packed an overnight bag, filled up my car, and drove to her hometown. It wasn't a quick trip, so I had plenty of time to prepare myself mentally for whatever uncomfortable conversation might happen. I kept telling myself, maybe she's just stressed. Maybe it's not as bad as it seems. But deep down, had this sinking feeling that things were about to get complicated. When I arrived at her parents' house where I assumed she was staying, my heart was pounding. I knocked, and for a moment, I thought no one was home. Then, Lily opened the door. The look on her face said it all. She wasn't expecting me. She just stood there, staring at me like I was a ghost. It felt like she hadn't prepared for a pop quiz. Finally, she stepped aside and let me in, mumbling something about how she didn't expect me to come. We sat down in the living room, and everything felt wrong. It wasn't the usual comfort I shared with Lily where we could just sink into the couch and talk about anything. She started with small talk. How was your drive? Did you hit any traffic? Want something to drink? It was like she was forcing herself to sound normal. At first, I played along, answering her questions, with short clipped responses, but my patience was running out. I hadn't come all this way to discuss highway conditions. There was a long, awkward silence where neither of us spoke. She seemed distant, and when she finally looked up, I asked, "Lily, what's going on? Why haven't you been answering my calls or texts?" Her reaction was immediate. "I've been trying to figure some things out," she said softly, almost too quiet to hear. "Figure what out?" I pressed. I was trying to keep quiet. She hesitated, unsure how to say what she needed to. The silence stretched on, and I could hear my heartbeat thumping in my ears. Then she finally said it. "I ran into my ex when I got here." It felt like the ground shifted beneath me. I stared at her, trying to absorb what she'd just said. My voice steady, though a storm was brewing inside. I asked, "What do you mean?" "It wasn't planned," she replied. "I saw him at the grocery store, and we ended up talking." That word "talking" hit me like a slap. It wasn't the fact that she'd seen her ex. That could happen to anyone. It was the way she said it, like it was no big deal. But clearly it was, or we wouldn't be having this conversation. I leaned forward, trying to keep calm. "Why didn't you tell me about this earlier?" I asked. Her eyes darted away, avoiding mine. "I didn't want to upset you until I knew how I felt." "How you felt?" I repeated, my voice rising. "We're engaged, Lily. We're planning a wedding." "What do you mean, how you felt?" That's when she said, "I've been spending some time with him," admitting it, barely above a whisper. I needed to see if there were any unresolved feelings. For a moment, I couldn't speak. My mind spun, trying to make sense of what she just said. Unresolved feelings. We're supposed to be getting married, and you're out here, playing emotional hopscotch with your ex. "I just needed to know for sure," she said. I didn't want to enter our marriage with doubts. My chest tightened, my hands clenched into fists. "So you've been ignoring me this whole time because of him?" I couldn't stay silent. "Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why didn't you talk to me instead of shutting me out?" She started to respond, but I wasn't finished. "What does this mean for us, Lily? Are you still trying to figure it out? Because I'm not going to sit around waiting to find out if I'm plan A or plan B." Her face crumpled, and for a moment, I thought she might cry. Instead, she said, "I didn't want to hurt you. I needed time to sort my emotions." "Do you even hear yourself right now?" I shot back. Leaving me in the dark for weeks was far worse than being honest from the start. The conversation spiraled after that. Every time I asked for a clear answer, she dodged, offering vague excuses about needing clarity and not wanting to make mistakes. I could feel my energy drain with each passing minute. By the end, I was done. Completely, utterly done. I stood up, looked at her one last time, and said, "I need some time to think." Exactly like you said. Her eyes widened, as if she hadn't expected me to say that, but I didn't wait for a reply. I grabbed my keys and walked out. The drive home was one of the longest and most surreal trips of my life. I wasn't angry, not in a yelling, breaking things way, but I was hurt. Deeply hurt. I kept replaying everything Lily said, trying to make sense of it. Unresolved feelings. What did that even mean? Why couldn't she just talk to me instead of shutting me out and ghosting me for weeks? The next few days were a blur. I went to work, but wasn't really there. My coworkers asked if I was okay, and I gave the usual, "Yeah, just tired" excuse. My friends checked in too, but I didn't have the energy to explain the mess. Eventually, I told a couple of close friends what happened. Their reactions were a mix of shock and outrage. My buddy Mark shook his head and said, "Dude, that's a huge mess." Another friend, Jenna, didn't hold back. "If she's entertaining her ex while engaged to you, she doesn't deserve you." Hearing their blunt honesty made me realize just how badly things had fallen apart. It also made me feel like a fool for not seeing it sooner. "She should have told you the moment." "This guy showed up," my friend Mark said. My other friend, Jenna, was even more blunt. If she's entertaining her ex while engaged to you, she doesn't deserve you. Hearing that from others made me realize just how bad things really were, but it also made me feel like a fool. Did I not see this coming? Were there signs I missed? What hurt the most was how blindsided I felt. We had been planning our future, choosing wedding venues, talking about where to live, even discussing baby names, and now it all felt like a lie. I started digging through our text messages, searching for anything that might explain her behavior. Nothing stood out. Our conversations had been normal, even happy, right up until she left for her hometown. It was like she flipped a switch the moment she saw her ex. One night, I messaged her sister, not trying to drag her into it, but needing some clarity. Her response was short and vague. "I think Lily's just going through some stuff. She'll figure it out." Figure it out. What was there to figure out? We were supposed to be a team, but now I was completely in the dark. A week later, I got a text from Lily. It wasn't an apology or explanation, just a casual, "Hey, how are you?" Like everything was fine. I didn't reply. What was I supposed to say? "Oh hey, I'm great. Thanks for ignoring me while you hung out with your ex." The silence between us grew louder with each day. I felt more distant from her, and more certain that whatever we had was falling apart. I started wondering if I even wanted to save it. Could I forgive her? Could I trust her again? But at the same time, I felt stuck. We had built a life, for at least we thought we had. Breaking up wasn't just ending a relationship. It meant unraveling everything we planned and starting over from nothing. That thought was terrifying. The alternative was pretending everything was okay when it clearly wasn't, and that wasn't an option. I began thinking about what I wanted, what I deserved. I realized I couldn't stay with someone who didn't respect me enough to be honest. I couldn't marry someone who thought it was okay to put me on hold while they sorted out feelings for someone else. By the end of that week, I had made up my mind. If Lily wanted to fix things, she'd have to do a hell of a lot more than send me a half-hearted text. Even then, I wasn't sure I could look at her the same way again. I didn't reach out to her, and she didn't follow up after that text. The silence felt like an unspoken agreement. We were done. And honestly, as painful as it was, it also felt like a relief. I was starting to get used to the silence. It wasn't fun, but it gave me space to think. I'd made peace with the fact that Lily wasn't coming back. I was slowly moving on, not rushing, not distracting myself, just trying to rebuild some sense of normal. Then, like clockwork, she came back. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was halfway through rewatching a series I didn't even like much. Just something to keep my mind busy. There was a knock at the door. I thought maybe it was a delivery or Mark coming over to drag me out of the house. But no, it was Lily. She was standing there like nothing had happened, smiling like she was bringing cookies to a neighbor. "Hey," she said casually, like she hadn't ghosted me for weeks. I just stood there, trying to figure out if I was hallucinating. Hey," I finally said, stepping aside so she could come in. She walked in like she owned the place, commenting on how clean everything was. She sat down on the couch, patted the cushion next to her, and said, "We need to talk." I braced myself, expecting some heartfelt apology or explanation, something, but instead, she started talking about our wedding plans. "Our venue is still holding our date," she said, like we'd been in constant contact the whole time. "And I was thinking we should go with lavender for the table settings. It's timeless, don't you think?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I cut her off mid-sentence. "Lily, what are you doing here?" She blinked, confused, like I'd just asked why the sky was blue. "I'm here to fix things," she said, matter-of-factly. I stared at her for a moment, then let out a sharp, cold laugh, the kind that says, "Are you kidding me right now? Fix things?" I repeated, leaning forward. "You mean the relationship you put on pause while sorting out your feelings for your ex? That relationship?" Her face went pale for a moment. "That's over. I realized I don't have feelings for him anymore. It's you I want to be with." I stood up, pacing because sitting still felt impossible. "And you expect me to just believe that? To take you back with open arms like none of this happened? Do you even hear how insane that sounds?" She blinked, clearly not expecting the anger in my voice. I needed time. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me, Lily. You ghosted me for weeks. You didn't think to tell me a single thing, no warning. Nothing until I had to drive to your hometown to find out. And now you're standing here acting like it's no big deal. "It's not like that," she shot back. I was confused. I didn't know what I was feeling and didn't want to make things worse. Make things worse? I cut her off, throwing my hands up. "You made things worse by disappearing on me. You left me hanging, wondering what the hell was happening while you were off rekindling whatever with your ex. Do you even realize what that did to me?" She opened her mouth to reply, but I didn't give her the chance. "No, you don't," I said firmly. "Because if you did, you wouldn't be here right now, expecting me to just forget everything and pick up where we left off." She looked hurt now, but I wasn't backing down. "Not this time. I made a mistake," she said, quietly, trying to play the victim. "I know I messed up, but I'm here now, and I want to make this right. I'll do whatever it takes." "Whatever it takes," I repeated, laughing bitterly. "You say that like it means something, but the truth is, Lily, I don't trust you anymore. How am I supposed to believe you won't pull this again the next time you get confused or need to sort your emotions?" She looked down at her hands, fiddling with her engagement ring. My ring. I felt a flash of anger seeing it still on her finger, like she had any right to wear it after everything. "Take it off," I said abruptly. She looked up, startled. "What? The ring?" I pointed at her hand. "Take it off. You don't get to keep it. Not after this." Her eyes widened, and for a moment she looked like she might argue. But then, slowly, she slid the ring off her finger and placed it on the table between us. She stood there a moment, looking at me as if expecting me to change my mind or say something to make it all okay. But I didn't. I just stared back. My face set my decision final. "Is this really it?" she asked. "You're just done?" "Yes," I said, my voice steady. "I'm done. I'm not an option, Lily. You don't get to hit pause on me while you figure out your feelings. Then come back when it's convenient. That's not love. That's selfishness." Her lips trembled, like she wanted to say something, but she didn't. Instead, she turned and walked toward the door. That night, I sat on the couch, staring at the ring on the table. It felt surreal, like the last few weeks had been some twisted dream I couldn't wake up from. But as I sat there, one thing became crystal clear. I made the right choice. I wasn't going to let myself be someone's second option, their backup plan when things didn't work out with someone else. I deserved better, and I was finally ready to stand up for myself. Lily was gone, and honestly, I was okay with that, and that's how things stood. Until now. If anything happens worth sharing, I'll keep you updated. Hey y'all, thanks for the comments, they mean a lot. I wanted to give you an update since things shifted unexpectedly. So here goes. After Lily's surprise visit, I was stuck in this weird limbo. I wasn't ready to forgive her, but I also didn't have the energy to confront her again. It felt like emotional quicksand. I didn't know what to do. So I did what any guy would. I avoided the situation and kept to myself. Then, out of nowhere, I got a text from Mia, one of Lily's friends. Mia and I had always been friendly, but never really talked one-on-one. Her message said something like, "Hey, just checking in. I heard about the break and wanted to see how you're holding up." At first, I wasn't sure how to respond. Was this some kind of setup? But after staring at the message way too long, I decided to reply, "Hey, thanks for reaching out. I'm doing okay, I guess." Mia was surprisingly easy to talk to. She said she'd been through a similar situation and knew how much it sucked. We ended up texting back and forth for a while, and honestly, it was nice to have someone to vent to. Mia wasn't pushy or judgmental, just a good listener. A few days later, she texted me again, this time suggesting we meet up for coffee. Wasn't really in the mood to go out, but she was persistent. "Come on, it'll be good for you to get out of the house," she said. Before I knew it, I agreed. When we met, it felt normal, not romantic or flirty, just two people talking. She asked about work, hobbies, even my old college stories. For the first time in weeks, I felt like someone actually cared about me, not about the drama or wedding plans. Just me. Then she hit me with, "You deserve someone who appreciates you, someone who doesn't take you for granted." I didn't know how to respond, so I just said, "Yeah, I guess." The thing was, I wasn't interested in Mia like that. She was nice and all, but I was still tangled up in the mess Lily left behind. I wasn't ready to jump into anything, and I didn't want to give Mia the wrong idea. But she didn't back off. She started texting more often, sending memes, asking if I wanted to hang out again. She wasn't overbearing, but it was clear she was trying to make something happen. One evening, Mia asked if I wanted to grab dinner. I tried to politely say no, but she wouldn't take no for an answer. "It's just dinner," she said. "Don't overthink it." So I went. Let me tell you, it was awkward. She dressed up like it was a date, while I showed up in a hoodie and jeans. The conversation was fine, but there was an underlying tension I couldn't ignore. It was like she was testing the waters, seeing how far she could push things. When I got home, I told myself that was it. No more one-on-one hangouts. With Mia, I didn't want to lead her on or make things more complicated than they already were. But somehow, Lily found out. I don't know if Mia told her, if one of their mutual friends couldn't keep their mouth shut, or if Lily just has some sixth sense for sticking her nose where it doesn't belong. Either way, the next day, there she was, banging on my door. Like the place was on fire. No text, no warning, just pounding on the door like an emergency. I opened it, and there she was, fired up and ready to go. "What the hell are you doing?" she demanded, storming past me into the living room. Shut the door, already over it. "Nice to see you too, Lily. What do you want?" She spun around, glaring. "You've been hanging out with Mio, my friend." I crossed my arms, keeping calm but firm. "I'm sorry, but what exactly makes you think you get to ask me about what I'm doing? What makes you think?" she started.
Are you
"Kidding me? She's my friend." "This is humiliating." I let out a short laugh, shaking my head. "Humiliating, Lily? We're done. You don't get to show up here and play the victim. You made your choice when you walked away. Whatever I do now isn't your business." Her face twisted like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. "So that's it. You're just moving on." I shrugged. "What did you think was going to happen? That I'd sit here waiting for you to decide if I'm good enough? I came back because I realized I still love you," she shouted. "Too late," I said bluntly. "Honestly, Lily, maybe you should go back to your ex. Seems like you're good at circling back to old options." Her face turned red in an instant, jaw tightening like she was holding herself together. "Are you serious right now?" she hissed. "Yeah, I'm serious," I shot back. "You clearly didn't think twice about running to him before. Why stop now? Might as well make it easier for everyone." She practically exploded. "You don't get to stand there and act like you're better than me. If you think I'm just going to let this slide, you're wrong." "Let what slide?" "That I'm over it? That I'm over you. Not my problem anymore, Lily." She glared at me. "You'll regret this," she said, her tone sharp enough to cut glass. "Don't think I won't make you regret this." I just opened the door wide and gestured to it. "Go ahead, Lily. Make whatever threats you want, but you're not my problem anymore." She stared for a moment, then stormed out. I locked the door behind her, shook my head, and finally exhaled. Whatever her next move was, I didn't care. I was done, and that wasn't going to change. Final update. All right, guys, here's a final update to let you know how everything is unfolding. After Lily stormed out, the silence felt different this time. Not heavy. Not for the first time. I didn't feel like I had to justify myself to her or anyone else. It was over, and I was okay with that. A few days later, Mia texted me, asking if I wanted to grab lunch. I hesitated. Mia had been a good listener when everything with Lily fell apart, but I was starting to worry she might see this as more than it was. I didn't want to send mixed signals or complicate things. Still, I figured one lunch wouldn't hurt, especially if I used it as a chance to set boundaries. When we met up, the vibe was casual. We talked about random stuff, but there was this underlying energy that made me uneasy. She laughed a little too hard at my jokes, leaned in a little too close, and gave me that look like she was waiting for me to make a move. About halfway through, I decided to be direct. Mia, I really appreciate you being there for me lately. It's been a lot, and I'm grateful. But I want to be clear, I'm not looking for anything beyond friendship. Her face dropped for a second, but she quickly recovered. Oh yeah, of course, she said, waving it off like it was no big deal. I didn't mean to make it weird. I smiled, relieved she took it well. Thanks. I just didn't want there to be any confusion. After lunch, we went our separate ways, and I thought that was the end of it. But as I walked back to my car, something caught my eye. It was Lily. She was standing half a block away, leaning against a streetlight, pretending to scroll on her phone. I'd recognize that posture anywhere. I wasn't just there by chance, she was watching. I froze for a moment, debating whether to say something. But what was the point? She'd deny it, and it would just lead to another argument. So, I got in my car and drove off, pretending I hadn't seen her. Over the next week, I started noticing her more often. She wasn't obvious, but she wasn't exactly subtle either. Her car would be parked down the street from my place when I came home from work, or I'd catch glimpses of her at the grocery store, ducking into another aisle when she thought I noticed. It was bizarre. She wasn't reaching out or making a scene, just lingering, like she was waiting for me to do something. One evening, I went out to grab takeout. As I pulled into the restaurant parking lot, I saw her car again parked just far enough away not to seem suspicious if I didn't already know better. I didn't confront her. I just went inside, got my food, and left. But when I got home and saw her car parked down the street, I'd had enough. I didn't go to her. Instead, I walked straight into my house, locked the door, and pulled out my phone. I texted her, Lily, I've noticed you around. Stop following me. This isn't healthy, and it's not going to change anything. No reply. I didn't expect one, honestly. But the next day, her car was gone. The days after that felt calmer, like the ghost of her presence had finally left. I didn't see her or hear from her, and for once, it felt like she was truly out of my life. Mia texted me a couple more times, but I kept it friendly and distant. I wasn't about to let another situation spiral out of control. Right now, I needed to focus on myself, on putting all the chaos behind me. Lily might still be out there, watching or waiting, but I wasn't going to let her control another second of my life. I was done, and this time, it was for good. And if there's one thing I know for sure, it's this. I deserve better. That's it, folks. Thanks for sticking with me through all of this. If you have any advice, I'm all ears. Otherwise, I'll just be over here figuring out how to start fresh.